well put together. And it just feels like a tank. That's the thing about Toyotas. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the all-new Lexus GX 460. Before getting this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into it. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 4.6 liter V8 that goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 15 around town and then 19 on the highway, with power outputs being 301 horsepower and then 329 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go to the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. And also, I tried to clean this off before filming, and it didn't exactly work because I didn't have access to a real car wash today. Sorry about it, but let's get into it. So starting off with the hood, you guys can see it's raised there on either side and kind of divots down in the center. And then here's kind of a look at the portion that I guess did stay clean in the center, so you guys can see this green color. And then popping down below, you guys can see the daytime running lights with the LED headlamps look so cool. And then you got the fog lights as well. And then notice the turn signal indicator is in its own little place. And then you have Lexus's signature front grille with the logo in the center. And here's kind of a closer look at all of those elements. And seriously, when you put it all together, I think this thing looks pretty cool. Now, coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 265, 60, 18 in the front and over in the rear as well. And you guys will notice that the wheels are all blacked out on this particular GX, which contrasts very nicely with this like dark forest green. So you notice the mirrors are body painted just like the door handles, and then notice we got the roof rails there at the top, and then we do have these side steps, which are kind of like built in because the bottom portion is body painted. It's pretty cool looking. And then when you put it all together, from a side view perspective, I think this thing looks pretty neat. So here's a key fob for the GX. You guys can see Lexus logo there on the back. We have our lock function here at the top, unlock, and then this is just the unlock for the hatch. If you're wanting remote start, it's pretty easy. You press the lock function a few times, then hold it down, and then it'll do the remote start. Now with the rear hatch, you pull this, and yeah, it opens up that way, just like a G-Wagon, just like the new Defender too. Now this particular GX has the third row, and you can see that it makes it so you don't really have any storage space. I mean, this is like absolutely nothing. Who are we kidding? But if you throw down the third row, then you actually have a solid amount of storage space. You got to pick between having stuff in the back or passengers, I suppose. When you're all done, pretty easy to close that, and then notice we got this little button right here that actually pops the window, so then you can access it that way too. Now with the taillights, notice how they're darkened there on the side. That's pretty cool. And then you guys can see we've got parking sensors here at the bottom, and this is kind of a better look at the green color. Again, it's kind of like a dark forest green, and then notice the trim there at the bottom is also blacked out. And so I guess finishing things up with the rest of the rear, overall I think that it's a pretty cool, boxy looking, you know, off-road style SUV. Now, when it comes to the rear door panel, you got this wood trim right here, and then you guys can see the leather padding down below, and then plenty of storage space on the panel too. Now, with these seats, you guys can see really cool leather. It's like gray. You can see perforated all down the center, and then you got that little lever to throw the seat down. Now, legroom here in the second row is actually really solid. We got a little storage pocket right here, and then I've got my own climate zone here in the rear, heated seats for the rear passengers, and so pretty cool setup, and got some USBs. And then headroom's also solid back here. Now, I'm sure people want me to go and get crammed in the third row, but I'm not going to because it's not a very spacious third row. I'm actually not sure why the GX even has a third row, frankly. I mean, I guess for small kids it would work, but yeah, I mean, adults maybe over a short trip, but yeah, it's definitely not super spacious back there. Oh, and I almost forgot. We got a cup holder armrest. Now with the front door panel, you guys can see we've got that same wood trim, and then we've got the leather padding down below. Memory seat functionality. All of our window controls here. Notice the door lock and unlock. We also have blind spot monitoring for the mirrors. With the front seat, you guys can see again, you've got that same like gray leather perforated all down the center portion. All of our power adjustments on the side with lumbar too. So we've got a bunch of controls in this section. This is for your mirror adjustment. The mirrors do power fold in, and then you got stuff for like your camera setup, stability control, heated steering wheel control as well. And then you can see the gas cap release down below. And then also the steering wheel is power adjustable. So starting with the steering wheel, you guys can see really cool wood trim there at the top and then here on the side as well. And then we've got really nice leather trim, and I actually really like the steering wheel, the overall feel and design. This does have adaptive cruise control as well as lane keep assist. We got some controls for the center stack, phone controls, volume controls, voice command controls as well. And then we have our turn signal light stock, and then our windshield wiper stock. Now with the gauge cluster, mostly analog, but we do have a screen here in the center where you can see different bits of info, so you guys can see what I've been averaging with the fuel economy, for example. And this basically has like the same exact setup as what my 4Runner has, so it's kind of interesting. Now another cool function here with the GX is you've got the ECT second function, and then you have a center locking differential. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and you guys can see the bird's eye view as well because this does have a 360 camera system. So if I find the camera button, there we go, and press this, you guys can see like the exterior view. So pretty cool. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, pretty easy to use. Frankly, response time at the screen is pretty solid. I can also control things via a keypad if I don't want to use the touchscreen functionality. So I like that Lexus gives you both options. So I'm going to say solid infotainment system. Now down below we've got some vents. We have a dual zone climate system here with the GX and automatic climate at that, which is really cool. So you can just set that and it'll do everything for you. Now you'll notice that we have our hill descent control function and then our 4-wheel drive shift function right there. This is the most annoying thing I have ever found in a car, because just down below that we have our radio knobs. And you know, yes, they are slightly different, but they're close enough that I have reached for these controls instead of the radio knobs so many times, and I haven't twisted the knob because again, it's like, it feels completely different, but still, like, they could have done a little bit more to differentiate them. So I've got this little storage area here with a bunch of charging ports, and then we have our heated and cooled seat function right there as well. So we've got our shifter for that 6-speed automatic transmission. We do have our manual shift function if you want to use that. And then you guys can see here, we've got, again, that keypad to control the infotainment system. Couple cup holders right there. And then this is pretty interesting. The center console like does that. And then you've got the actual opening function down below. It's very cavernous. Like, it is a huge, huge center console inside. And look at that leather trim here with the wood trim on the dash. And then this also has a very big glove box. Now up top here, we've got our controls for the sunroof. This has just a regular sunroof up top, nothing too fancy, and kind of like a softer cloth headliner. So here's our window sticker for this GX 460. You guys can see the standard equipment here, and fuel economy and all that kind of stuff. And then you guys can see the base MSRP, $56,425. This one has the black line special edition package added to it. $4,700 gives you the wheels, and I guess it makes everything kind of blacked out and everything. But anyways, after all options, total MSRP on this is $62,460. Let's see how this thing drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors just do it, blind spot monitoring onto the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So setting off in the GX 460, and I think it's been quite some time since I have driven one of these. Now what I do want to mention is I will be doing a comparison between this and my 4Runner, because after doing this review and looking at the window sticker, I realized that there's not that big of a price difference. Like, I think a $7,000 price difference between the MSRPs, but then when you take into account that most 4Runners are marked up, the TRD Pros, they're pretty much the same price. So I'll have to answer that question. Should you guys go GX 460 or should you go 4Runner TRD Pro? But anyways, this is a very comfortable vehicle, and you know, it's got that normal like Lexus Toyota build quality about it. So like, everything feels really sturdy, well put together. And it just feels like a tank. That's the thing about Toyota's trucks and SUVs, is you feel like you're driving a tank. It's a really good feeling. And with the Lexus product all being built out of Japan, and I can double check, let me actually double check the window sticker. I'm pretty sure they're all built out of Japan, but usually the VIN number will show us. Yeah, it's got a J VIN number. So, and by the way, this color is called Nori Green Pearl. So yeah, J VIN number, that means this thing came out of the Japanese factory, which, yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure all Lexuses come out of the Japanese factory. But yeah, you can tell its build quality is great. Really smooth with suspension. And honestly, this kind of feels like, this is gonna, it might be insulting a little bit, but I don't think it is. It kind of feels like a budget G-Wagon. That's kind of what this and then the Lexus LX600 feel like, because they have that same like tank-like feel that I really appreciate. And the reason why I say budget is because, well, they're less money than the G-Wagon, and you know, their powertrains aren't as cool as the G-Wagon, because the G-Wagon has that turbocharged V8 that's just pretty sweet. But back to this. It's just a really comfortable daily driver. It's got good power. And the thing is funny is this has a 6-speed just like the Toyota Tacoma. And this 6-speed isn't annoying like the Tacoma. Like, it doesn't gear hunt on the highway. But I think that a big reason for that is just the power. This has a V8, 4.6 liter V8. And so I think that it's got enough get up and go that it doesn't have to gear hunt. It's got enough torque and everything. So it makes the 6-speed feel, again, pretty solid with this vehicle. And so, you know, after living with this for a week and daily driving it and everything, I'd have to say I really like it. Honestly, it's a really solid vehicle. And you know, compared to the, I will say, since I obviously won't be able to do a side-by-side comparison with this and the LX600 like I can with the 4Runner, what I'll say with this compared to the LX600 is it gives you most of the experience of the LX600. It's the 4-wheel drive system feels like as, I don't know, grippy as that, so it's really good. And then the seat comfort's really good. Suspension comfort's pretty similar. This is not as comfortable as the LX600, but it's pretty close. And again, it just has that same big rugged SUV feel, and this is obviously substantially less money. The big downside with this over the LX600 is going to be, you know, the power, because the LX600 has that new turbocharged V6, and that thing's a monster. It feels really, really good, and so that would be the only downside with this. Is this V8's okay, but it's just not, it's not as good as that turbocharged V6. But you know, if you're looking for reliability, and this is also pretty economical. You guys can, again, you can see what I've been averaging. So overall, I think this is a pretty solid luxury SUV. And, you know, it's kind of like a dying breed. We're losing more and more of these cool body on frame, rugged SUVs and, you know, just reliable big SUVs. Everyone's going towards turbocharged engines and everyone's going towards unibody construction and all that. So if you want kind of more of an old school experience with a full warranty, then that's what this GX 460 gives you. That's gonna sum things up with our video on this GX 460. And with that being said, I'll see all of you in that next video.